The night was supposed to be simple. That's what I kept telling myself while I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, smoothing my dress, practicing a smile that wouldn't shake. Dad's retirement, 42 years at the same company, a catered dinner at a private room in a downtown restaurant, white tablecloths, soft jazz, his favorite kind of night. Safe, predictable. I should have known better. I arrived early because I always arrive early. Habit, control. I helped the staff place the little gold congratulations banner, lined up framed photos from Dad's career, the cheesy ones with bad hair and wide ties. My brother hadn't shown up yet. Mom was already fussing with the seating chart like it was a military operation. "You're putting Grandma next to Dad, right?" she asked without looking to me. I hesitated. I thought maybe next to Aunt Linda. Dad said, "She's his mother," Mom snapped, finally meeting my eyes. "It's his retirement. She belongs there." Something tight pulled in my chest, but I nodded. I always nod. Grandma arrived 10 minutes later, dressed in her usual pearl necklace and that expression she wears when she's already disappointed before anything even happens. She kissed my cheek and whispered, "Big night," like it was a warning. Dad walked in last, and the room changed. He looked lighter, like someone had finally taken a weight off his shoulders. People clapped. He laughed, hugged everyone. When he hugged me, he squeezed a little too tight. "Made it," he said. "We did it." I smiled. "You did." Dinner started smoothly. Toasts, stories, laughter that sounded a little forced but still warm. Wine glasses clinking. My brother finally arrived, late as always, sliding into his seat like nothing in the world waited on him. Dad didn't say anything. He never does. Then the waiter brought dessert, chocolate cake, Dad's favorite, candles shaped like numbers, 65. Dad stood up, clearing his throat. "I just want to say," he began, voice thick, "this means more to me than you know. I worked hard so my family wouldn't have to worry the way we did when I was growing up." That's when Grandma set her fork down. The sound was sharp, too loud. "Worry," she said, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. "We should be worrying now." The table went silent. Dad froze mid-sentence. Mom leaned toward her. "Ma, not tonight." Grandma ignored her. She looked straight at Dad. "You're retiring without telling them, aren't you?" Dad's smile faltered. "Mom, this isn't—" "How much did you actually save?" she asked, loud enough that nearby tables started listening. I felt heat rush to my face. "Grandma, please," I whispered. She turned to me, eyes sharp. "You think I don't know what's going on? I saw the statements." Dad's chair scraped back slightly as he shifted. "You went through my mail?" "You left it at my house," she snapped, "and I'm glad I did, because someone needs to say it." Mom's hand shook as she reached for her wine. My brother suddenly found the table fascinating. Dad swallowed. "I have a plan." "A plan?" Grandma laughed, bitter. "You took early retirement, you dipped into the account, and you never told your own children how bad it is." I felt my heart start pounding, the kind of pounding that makes it hard to breathe. "How bad is what?" I asked before I could stop myself. Dad looked at me then, really looked, and in his eyes I saw fear, not embarrassment, fear. "Sweetheart," he said quietly, "this isn't the time." Grandma leaned back, crossing her arms. "They deserve to know, especially her." I stared at her. "Especially me?" She nodded. "You've been covering things without realizing it. Helping, paying. You think it's coincidence?" The room felt like it was shrinking. The jazz music kept playing, wrong and distant. "What are you talking about?" Dad's voice dropped. "Mom, stop." She didn't. "Tell her where the money went. Tell her whose name is on the loan." My brother finally looked up. "What loan?" Mom stood. "Enough, we are not doing this here." But it was already done. I could feel something breaking open inside me, something I hadn't known was sealed. I looked at Dad. "Dad," I said, barely recognizing my own voice. "What loan?" He opened his mouth, closed it. His hands were shaking now. And Grandma leaned forward, eyes locked on mine, and said, "Ask him whose retirement this really was." The waiter hovered awkwardly nearby, holding the cake knife like he didn't know whether to move or disappear. People were watching, whispering. Dad finally spoke, voice cracking. I just needed a little more time. A little more time for what? I asked. He looked down at the table, at the candles still burning. And that's when I realized this night wasn't about celebrating the end of his work. It was about paying for something none of us had agreed to. Dad inhaled, like he was about to confess, and before he could say another word, my brother stood up and said, "Wait, are you saying this has something to do with her money?" Every head turned toward me, and my phone vibrated in my purse. I didn't know why, but I knew whatever was on that screen was about to make this worse.
My phone kept vibrating, stubborn, like it knew this moment mattered. I didn't reach for it right away. I couldn't. Everyone was already looking at me like I'd just been accused of something without a charge. "What does that have to do with her?" my brother pressed, his tone sharp, defensive, like he was bracing for a fight he didn't want to lose. Dad finally looked up. His eyes were glassy, guilty, tired. "Sit down," he muttered. "No," my brother said. "You don't get to tell me to sit down when you're dropping bombs like this." Mom stepped between them, hands raised. "Please, people are staring." She was right. 2 tables over, a couple had stopped pretending not to listen. The waiter slowly backed away with the cake, candles still lit, wax dripping like time was running out. My phone buzzed again. I took it out. A text from an unknown number. "Check the email I sent you. It's time you saw everything. G." My chest tightened. G. Grandma. I looked up at her. She met my eyes without flinching. No apology, no softness, just resolve. "What did she send you?" Dad asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know yet," I said honestly. My hands were shaking as I unlocked my phone. "But I'm guessing it's something you didn't want me to see." "That's not fair," Mom said quickly. "Your father was trying to protect you." "From what?" I asked. "The truth?" My brother scoffed. "This is ridiculous. You're always making everything about you." I turned to him. "I didn't ask for this." Grandma laughed softly. "No, you didn't. That's the problem." I opened the email. I wish I could say I understood it right away. I didn't. There were attachments, statements, a scanned document with my name on it, highlighted in yellow. My name. My breath caught. Dad saw my face change. "Don't," he said, pushing back his chair. "Please, not here." I looked up slowly. "Why is my name on your loan?" Silence slammed into the room. My brother's mouth fell open. "What?" Mom's face drained of color. "That can't be right." Grandma folded her hands on the table. "It's right." Dad rubbed his forehead, like the pressure might make this disappear. "I was going to tell you." "When?" I asked. My voice sounded calm, which scared me more than if I'd been screaming. "After I paid it off? After you retired comfortably." "It wasn't like that. I needed a cosigner, just temporarily. You used my credit without telling me. I'm your father, and I'm your daughter, not your safety net." My brother stood abruptly. "Hold on. You're telling me she's been, bankrolling this family without knowing it?" "That's enough," Mom said, but her voice cracked. I scrolled through the email, my stomach sinking with every line. Dates, amounts, payments I didn't remember making but suddenly recognized. The times Dad asked me to spot him for a bit, the emergencies, the vague explanations. It all lined up too perfectly. "I trusted you," I said quietly. Dad reached for my hand. I pulled it back. Grandma leaned in closer. "There's more," she said. I looked at her. "More than this?" She nodded once. "Much more." My phone buzzed again. Another email notification. Another attachment downloading. Dad's voice trembled. "Mom, stop. You're going to ruin everything." She stared at him. "You did that yourself." The restaurant manager approached cautiously. "Is everything okay here?" "No," my brother muttered. "It really isn't." I stood up, chair scraping loudly against the floor. My legs felt weak, but I forced myself to stay upright. "I need air." Dad followed me a step. "Please, don't leave." I need to breathe, because if I stay, I might say something I can't take back. As I walked toward the exit, I felt every eye on my back. Outside, the night air hit me hard, cold and sharp. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. I opened the second attachment, and whatever Grandma had just sent made my heart stop. Behind me, the restaurant door opened, and I knew, whatever came next, this family would never be the same.
I didn't turn around right away. The cold air felt thinner, like it couldn't quite reach my lungs. My phone screen glowed too bright in the dark, the attachment fully loaded now, sitting there like a dare. Behind me, I heard Dad's shoes on the pavement, slow, careful, like every step was a negotiation. "Don't open it," he said softly. That's when I knew I had to. I tapped the file. At first, it looked like another financial document. Dense paragraphs, official formatting, legal language meant to exhaust you before you asked questions. Then I saw the header. My name again. Not just as a cosigner, as a beneficiary. Or at least, that's what it was supposed to be. My stomach dropped. Dad stepped closer. "She doesn't understand how things work now. She's old. She's confused." "She doesn't look confused," I said, still staring at the screen. My voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. "She looks prepared." The door behind us opened wider. My brother's voice cut through the night. "What the hell is going on?" I looked up. He was standing there with Mom, both of them framed by warm restaurant light that suddenly felt fake, staged, like a set we'd all been pretending was real. "What did she send you?" Mom asked. Her eyes kept darting between me and Dad. I swallowed. "Paperwork." "That's vague," my brother snapped. "Read it out loud." Dad shook his head. "No, this stays between us." Grandma's voice drifted out from the doorway before I could respond. It already didn't. She stepped outside, slow but steady, cardigan wrapped tight around her shoulders. The streetlight caught the lines on her face, made her look carved out of stone instead of skin. "You told her?" Dad asked, disbelief edging into anger. "I showed her," Grandma corrected. "There's a difference." My brother laughed once, sharp and humorless. "Okay, this is insane. What exactly did you show her?" Grandma looked at me. Not him. Me. Enough for her to finally understand why her savings account kept shrinking while everyone else's lives kept moving forward. The words hit harder than I expected. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. "That's not—" "Is it not?" Grandma asked. Her tone wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. "Tell me which part isn't true." Dad's jaw clenched. "You had no right." "I had every right," she said. "I watched her doubt herself for years, watched her apologize for things she didn't do, watched you let her think she was irresponsible when she was covering your messes." My brother turned to me, eyes narrowed. "You knew about this?" "No," I said quickly. "I didn't, I swear." He studied my face, searching for something. An angle, a lie. "Then why does it sound like you're the only one not surprised?" Because I wasn't surprised anymore, I thought. Because suddenly everything made sense. Dad stepped in front of me, blocking my view of Grandma. "This conversation is over." I felt something snap. "No," I said, "it's not." He looked at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. "I've spent my whole life being told to stay quiet, to be grateful, to not ask questions. And every time I felt like something was off, I told myself I was imagining it." Mom reached for me. I stepped back. "I want to know," I said, staring straight at Dad. "How long you plan to let me keep paying for things I didn't agree to?" He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. And before he could say anything, Grandma spoke. "There's one more account," she said calmly. "One she hasn't seen yet." My phone vibrated in my hand. A new email. Dad's face went gray. I looked down at the screen, my thumb hovering over it, knowing, absolutely knowing, that once I opened this one, there would be no pretending left. And this time, I wasn't sure I wanted to stop it.
My thumb hovered over the screen so long it went dark, like the phone itself was tired of waiting for me to decide who I was going to be next. Dad noticed. "Don't," he said again, louder this time, panic breaking through the control he'd worn all evening. "Please, whatever Mom sent you, just don't." Grandma didn't flinch. She looked almost relieved, like the hardest part for her had already passed. She deserves the choice you never gave her. My brother dragged a hand through his hair. "This is unreal. We came here to celebrate retirement, a cake, speeches, and now you're telling me there's secret accounts and my little sister's been, used?" I finally tapped the screen to wake it back up. The email was still there. Subject line simple, brutal. "Last thing before it's too late." My chest tightened so hard I had to consciously breathe. In through my nose, out through my mouth. I felt like if I rushed this, something inside me would fracture in a way I couldn't put back together. Mom stepped closer, her voice softer now, almost pleading. "Honey, if there's something wrong, we can fix it. Families fix things." I laughed before I could stop myself. It came out broken, ugly. "You fix things after they break. You don't hide the cracks and call it love." Dad snapped. "I did what I had to do." "For who?" I shot back. He hesitated, just a fraction of a second, but it was enough. Grandma exhaled slowly. "That's the silence I've been waiting for." The street felt smaller suddenly, like the walls were closing in even though we were outside. Cars passed, someone laughed across the street. Life kept moving, completely unaware that mine had just tilted on its axis. My phone buzzed again, not an email this time, a call. From my bank. My heart slammed against my ribs. Why is my bank calling me at 9 at night? Dad's eyes locked onto the screen. "Don't answer it." That settled it. I answered. "Hi, this is Angela from First Harbor," the woman said, professional but careful, like she'd been trained for moments like this. "Am I speaking with—" "Yes, this is me. I'm calling regarding some recent activity flagged on your account. We've tried reaching you earlier." I felt everyone lean in, like gravity had shifted toward my phone. "What kind of activity?" There was a pause, papers shuffling. "Large transfers connected to a retirement account that lists you as a guarantor." I closed my eyes. Dad whispered, "Hang up." I didn't. Angela continued, "We're required to confirm whether these transactions were authorized by you personally." My brother muttered, "Oh my God." Mom's knees buckled slightly. She grabbed Dad's arm to steady herself. "Tell her it's a mistake," she whispered urgently. "Just tell her." I opened my eyes and looked straight at Dad. "Were they authorized?" He didn't answer. That was answer enough. "No," I said into the phone. "They weren't." Angela's tone shifted instantly, sharper, more formal. "Thank you for confirming. In that case, we'll need to freeze certain accounts pending review." Dad exploded. "You can't do that." Angela heard him. "Ma'am, is someone else present?" "Yes, several people." "We'll be sending documentation to your email within the hour. Please do not approve or sign anything until you've reviewed it carefully." The call ended. Silence followed, heavy, suffocating. Dad's voice cracked. "You just destroyed everything." I stared at him, tears finally spilling over. "You destroyed it when you decided my future was yours to spend." Grandma stepped forward and placed a hand on my arm. It was warm, steady. "There's still one decision left tonight." I looked at her. "What decision?" She nodded toward my phone. "That email." My phone buzzed again as if on cue. Another message from her.
Open it when you're ready, not when they tell you to. My brother backed away a step, shaking his head. I need air. This is too much. Mom whispered my name, but I didn't look at her. I couldn't, not yet. I stared down at the screen, at the unopened file that felt heavier than all the years I'd spent doubting myself. Behind me, the restaurant door opened again. I heard voices, staff, maybe, the manager, asking if everything was okay, if they should call someone. Dad wiped his face with both hands. If you open that, he said quietly, there's no going back. I stared at him, tears finally spilling over. I know. My finger moved toward the screen, and just before I tapped it, Grandma leaned in and said something so low only I could hear it. Something that made my breath catch and my hand freeze in midair. I looked up at her, heart pounding, suddenly unsure whether I wanted to know what was waiting for me on the other side of that file, or whether some truths were powerful enough to burn everything they touched. The screen glowed between us, waiting.